everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck. I'm your host, Marley Majcher, and as usual, I have an amazing guest for you on the show today. His name is Jeffrey Hayzlett, and I want you just to pause right there and Google the man, because you're going to be like, how the fricker did this girl get him on the podcast? Well, thank you very much. So Jeffrey Hayzlett, welcome to the show, and I'm going to let you tell everybody all the crazy, amazing things you do, like spending your life living on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. So Jump in.
I want to be the poster child for I'm a train wreck. I think I am. I think we all are.
No, I think you absolutely are not. In fact, one thing that I should just get into very early on is that Jeffrey is the only person, you guys know that I love cojones of steel. And I will tell you right now, there's nobody that's got more of that than the gentleman sitting in the chair across from me, basically in the studio, this is the guy who has his own happy holidays card made of his face smiling.
Yep.
That's but you guys, he has signed it himself. That's the best part. So it's like Picasso of Picasso. So Jeffrey, freaking A, you're a poster child of something, but I'm just glad to have your energy, and I'm glad to have you on with me. So,
well, thank you. Let me get a little background. So as you ask, so I've, in my career, and I'm still in it, I've bought and sold hundreds of businesses. I'm a former chief marketing officer for a Fortune 100 company. As I said, I bought and sold hundreds of businesses, about 250 businesses overall, and still climbing, for about 25 billion in transactions. At my last job, I managed, a sales and marketing budget of 17 billion. That was just the spend. The gross revenue was about 87 to 89 billion, give or take, depending where we're at. And then, I've been a judge on Celebrity Apprentice for 4 years with Trump. And then I went on to do my own television show called The C-Suite with Jeffrey Hayzlett. And then I helped CBS kick off podcasting. Then they got rid of it. Then I took that over, and we created C-Suite Radio. Now we have, C-Suite TV, C-Suite Radio, which is about 150 TV shows, about 700 podcast shows. We're growing at 6x this year. So going like crazy. And I lead the C-Suite Network, which is a network of which you're part of, and your podcast is on our network as well. And we're going to be streaming here soon, so we'll have you'll be able to see this right here on television, which will be great. And then let's see, what else am I doing? I'm on the board of 14 companies.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Yeah. I mean, God. And do you have by the way, do you have a PhD? And do you have, and the guy, and most importantly, the guy is still married, and the wife is hot, and she's about a size 0, right? I mean,
she's a tiny gal. She's first time, I think I've told this story to you before, but first time I met my wife's great grandmother. Now my wife's 5'3", 105 pounds. I'm 6'3". No, Tammy's 5'1", and I'm 6'3", and Grandma Agnes is even smaller than Tammy, and she's like 4'9", and maybe weighed 80, 90 pounds. And she looked up at me, looked at Tammy, she looked way up at me, turned back to Tammy and said, "Isn't he bigger than necessary?" And that was my introduction to the family. So yeah.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're the perfect size, and you have the perfect size for what it is you do, because you're a giant personality. But as a lot of people who've listened know, you're a giant personality, but you're like one of the few giant personalities, in my opinion, who actually delivers. So far, I have not found any of smoke or mirrors behind the smoke or mirrors.
No false prophets when, I am who I am, and I always will be. And if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, I tell you I can't, usually. And I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it, and it won't work. But one time I was talking about the stuff I do, and someone said, "You're really bragging." I said, "Well," they said, "Sir, it's not bragging when it's true."
Exactly.
So it's not, it is what it is. Like someone would say, you're on 14 company boards. No one's doing that. Well, yes, I am. And 4 of them are publicly traded. I look at that like a business. So I have somebody who helps me with that every single day. I've got a list of things that are on my sheets right here in front of me, the board things I got to do, calls I've got to make. And that's just part of my life,
And Jeffrey, I want to jump into that for a second, because, everybody you ask, I swear to you, on the planet, like, "Oh, how are you doing?" "Busy, just really busy." To me, and then, one of the first things that comes to my mind is I'm always like, because 'cause I'm snarky, busy doing what, right? And then
Yeah.
if somebody is constantly so busy, it's like, "Well, your house better be paid for in cash and your car better be paid for in cash and blah, blah, blah." But that's not the case. So how does somebody like you who is juggling so much, yet you are like on time, on budget, deliver, keep your word. Like, walk us through kind of Jeffrey Hazlett's productivity day or Jeffrey Hazlett's day.
Well, one, I've learned as I've gotten older to get up earlier. That's
Mhm,
one. So I
mhm.
literally get up at 4 in the morning. Well, but and I go to bed early. I try to go to bed early, because as your mom said, nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. So,
Well,
you know,
how early do you go to bed? Are you in bed at 10 or is it earlier?
sometimes, even earlier if I can get by with it, because I
Yeah,
just fall asleep, you know what I
yeah,
mean? I'll have a glass of scotch, which I really enjoy, and then I'm tired, I'm
yeah,
eating doing emails or something like that, and I just fall asleep. Then I get up around midnight, and get ready for bed, and
yep.
then
I love
and,
it.
and then 4 o'clock rolls and I get out. And by the way, yesterday that I was the same thing. Yesterday was a Sunday for me,
Yeah.
and I got up at 4 o'clock. I put on a pot of chili. I mopped and waxed the kitchen floor. I did
What?
the dishes. Yeah, I did my laundry. My wife is gone this week, so
Why?
she's out seeing the grandbaby.
Oh,
So
got
yeah, and my daughter's moved, so they're taking care of her and doing that and doing what grandmas do. And so yeah, so I had to, normally Tammy does the laundry. That's her job. I
it.
usually
Mhm.
do all the dishes, stuff like that. So yeah, we trade off on things. And yeah, I did all that. What else did I do? I made myself my own breakfast. I did all my emails, got started, and then it was like, and then I went to work at 7:30. I went to work, and worked all day.
And what does that look like for you going to work at 7:30 and working all day? Like, are you just in front of your computer all the time? Are you
Yeah,
taping podcasts? Are
no,
you
it's a little bit of everything. It depends. I try to compartmentalize as much as possible. So I kind of live by the credo: automate, delegate, eliminate, and
Mhm,
motivate. All right, those are the things I look at every day. So
mhm,
how can I motivate my team?
mhm,
What can I automate so that I'm can't handling? So I got cool AI tools I'm using now, and lots
mhm,
of other things. That help save my email and get it
mhm,
off of email and so forth. But I
mhm.
try to compartmentalize, and so like on the filming for podcast on my show.
Yeah.
I do it, in 2 days a month
Mhm,
on the New York Stock Exchange,
mhm.
usually film 2 shows and then take a break for a day and then 2 shows the next day.
Mhm.
And, I can get those both done in less than about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes because we've just got it down and we're so organized
Yeah,
and we're pretty good at it at this point. I've been doing
I'd
it
say.
since,
Mhm.
for almost 10 years. So you get pretty good at it. And I've got a great team at the New York Stock Exchange and my producers, she handles everything. I usually read the questions on the train or the cab on the way down with her. I,
Yeah,
practice the intro so
yeah,
I can try to nail it in one take. I
yeah,
try to do all those kinds of things. But, when I get up in the morning, I make a list of all the key things I need to do for that day.
yeah.
And then if there's something else that pops up, then that can go to the next day or next day. And I write it down so I
Mhm.
can remember it. I also meet with my assistant every day and
Mm.
go through all the things. And then she tapes the meeting. So we actually tape it. So we
Yeah,
use an AI note taker
yeah.
and I dictate the letters, dictate the things I want to have done so that, I don't even want to be bothered with typing them.
Now that's a genius hack. Okay, so
Yeah.
and your assistant is Marilyn?
Maryland. Yeah.
I was freaking on Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Marilyn must
Yeah.
have had a heart attack trying to book this podcast because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna wing it. It's gonna be a conversation. She's like, hi, Jeffrey. Still, I was like, I'm gonna text Jeffrey and be like, F man, we're gonna wing it. But no, I had respect and I emailed Marilyn like a somewhat professional email. But I love that hack about you meet with her and then so like we tape our Zoom calls so you get the action items and all that stuff too. But I love the part where you actually dictate the letters or
Yep.
dictate whatever it is. How long have you been doing that?
A long time. Years ago, I used to have those little micro
Yeah.
recorders. Remember
Yep.
that? So I used
Yep.
to have one of those years ago.
Yep.
And so I've just always been like that as much as possible. But then I got away from having an assistant for a while after I left the corporate world.
Yeah.
I just said, "Hey, I'll do it myself," and then it goes back and forth. But now I'm really into, yeah, I got to have that. I can't keep things straight,
Yeah.
as much as I used to, and just because there's so much coming at me, so I have to
Right.
say. And we've got little things like in the meeting notes what you do, so it'll have an initial or something. It'll say, like podcast next to it. So I know it's a podcast, or I know this, or I know it's a meeting about our thought council or our hero club, or it's this. And many times she'll even put in parentheses who made the introduction, things like that. So we have certain way of doing it, and the team has got that down too. So do not add something to my calendar unless it has that stuff, because I'll just decline it. you
Right,
know
right, right,
uh
right. Smart.
so those are the kind of things, and we go through what's the conflicts of the day, what's the priority, because my whole day might change. I might come in the morning and go, yep, we got to eliminate everything today because
Ooh,
something
why would
else
you do
is
that?
bigger,
So
because
what?
the priority is higher for that. So somebody's going to walk in and hand you a lot of money or something, and oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's a higher priority.
right.
So yeah, you just got to look at, based on your objectives,
Yeah,
your key focus,
yeah.
what's important for you to do today. And that's really where, if you can drive that and you can get the others to drive towards it, then you're in pretty good shape. But you got to have the systems. I mean, even with Marilyn, we have, certain things that we have our projects which we keep track of, we have our meetings that she's always working on.
Hmm.
And then that shows up, and every day it says chairman meeting, chairman meeting, chairman meeting, was meeting me. And
Oh,
then
wow.
yeah,
That's once again you with your, okay, got it. The
yeah,
chairman meeting is you and Marilyn.
yeah, that's Marilyn and I, yeah.
Okay.
And everybody knows not to mess with that, right? So
Yeah.
that's usually the first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
And I allow her 15 minutes to get into the office. So, it's wherever she's at 8:15 in the morning,
Yeah,
typically.
got it. Got it.
And that's what we do. Even if I'm somewhere on the West Coast and I'm at 6:15, I get up at 6:15 to make that meeting. Of course, I'm already up, right?
Well, I was gonna say you're up at 2. So, okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so how long are your meetings with Marilyn?
Usually they last anywhere between 3 minutes to a full 30 minutes.
Oh,
It
wow.
just depends on what's going on. Like today, we're coming back from the weekend, and I've just been knocking stuff out. So she's
Mhm,
got to catch up, right?
mhm,
And she knows the focus has to be on the items that we sent over the weekend. So
right.
yeah, that's usually what it is. And it could be a project or a letter that we do. Like I just for the Pi Sigma Epsilon. It's a sales and marketing fraternity. I'm helping them put together a national advisory board of some of the top sales and marketing executives in the world,
Mhm,
and I'm inviting those people to join. So that's a project. So
right.
so there's like 18 to 22 letters that got to go out from me, asking them if they will do it. So I would have already got with her and said, "Hey, draft me a letter that does
Mhm,
this, does
mhm,
this, and does this."
mhm,
So she'll put that into chat or something like this and do
mhm.
it in the voice of Jeffrey Hayzlett.
Yeah.
And then it comes back. She'll proof that with me. I go, "Yep, don't like that. No, let's change this. Let's do that." And then, yeah, now go get it out. And then she knows to put. Then those people are going to write me back and say, "Yes, I'm
Right.
interested." Then I've got to introduce them to the people. So she writes those letters as well. She gets those ready for me.
So that's why you say there's 18 to 20 or whatever letters that are part, because it's sort of like a sequence almost.
Well, in that case, I was dominating 18 to 20 people,
Oh,
and
wow.
then
Okay.
yeah, there would have been two letters. That's it. Usually, people are going to write me back.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yes.
There are times that there's a few times, but like over the
Mhm.
weekend, I wrote to the chairman of Time magazine. I wrote to a whole bunch of other people on some other projects. So yeah, the
Yeah.
CEO of Cushman Wakefield, yeah, things like
Oh,
that to get on my show. I was like writing them to get on my show, and
too
usually
bad.
those should
John
come from me.
Cushman, Pasadena guy, John Cushman passed away, but I could have knocked on his door for you.
Oh, that would have been, yeah. I love to talk to the folks that founded the companies. I enjoy that,
Yeah.
interviews.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who do you
Because
like to interview the most?
I like to interview I like to interview confident people who are kind of off the wall, who I don't like, who will just go with the flow, who are
Hmm.
fun, have something interesting to say, who are not intimidated by the fact that there really is no script for this. I mean, everybody kind of knows the general deal. Like, it's like, okay,
Yep.
this is about the backstory and how
Right.
it's not perfect, right? Like stumbles and failures and all that kind of stuff. So that's who I like to interview. I love to interview people who are passionate. I don't care if you're passionate about being a dumpster diver. It's like I want it then into your brain about like
Why?
why,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
why,
Why?
what
Yeah.
motivates you? How do you do it? And then
Yeah.
I love though people. I'd like to know what's important to people and how do they get there. Like how do they on the day to day. Oh, this is your goal, whether it's to write a book or it's to, I don't know, lose 20 pounds. Who cares? But what are you going to do to get there?
I had the best interviews last week in the New York Stock Exchange I've had in a long time. and they were all 4 just wonderful interviews. And what was great is because I was sitting across from brilliant people,
Mhm.
and, like one gal, Ariane Dagin, she is the former chairwoman of D'Artagnan. She's from France, and you will know this, but I think you're vegetarian though, aren't you?
No, I mean, I don't eat a ton of meat, but I'm not
Okay.
officially, no.
Well, she brought foie gras to the United States
Ooh,
and Hudson Valley foie gras, which is like she's the
amazing.
one, right? And
Wow.
I met her during COVID because she was a supplier to the restaurants, and I happened to I saw something,
Yeah.
and D'Artagnan, what's the name D'Artagnan? Well, she's from that region of France where
Oh, wow.
D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was from. Her dad was a famous chef, and
Wow.
then she's supplying to the restaurants, and somebody told me about her because he said you should talk to her because she's really having a tough time because of COVID. Remember, all the restaurants
Ooh, of
started shutting down,
course.
and hers was a high-end supplier of
Yeah.
truffle butter and
Oh, wow.
organic venison, organic boar, all of the foie gras, all of these very
Yes,
highly,
yes, yes, highly
expensive things.
coveted, yeah.
And so then she opened it up for, to the consumer. And I thought, well, that's a gutsy move, channel conflict a little bit, but
100%.
she did it. And by the way, she ended up selling the company for $102 million.
Shut the front door right
Yeah, and
now.
so I thought, I haven't talked to her in a long time, and I liked her. She's, again, she's from France,
Yeah.
and she just got named as one of the sharks on the new print
No
of
way!
the French version. Now, the French
That's
version of
awesome. I don't care
and
what version.
yeah,
I don't care if it's the Polish Czechoslovakian that doesn't
yeah.
exist anymore version.
But
Wow.
yeah, so how cool. So I had her on the show. What are you doing? No, no, your daughter's working with you. Now you started a sustainable farm and you're doing this, you're doing tour. So my favorite question to her was, you have somebody over for
Right,
dinner. What are you gonna eat?
right. Love
Yeah.
it.
And then
Love
she said, "What depends on it is." I said, "Well, imagine it's me, you know?" And then so forth. She told me all the foods, and I was like, "Oh man, this is amazing." And then I said, "Well, what wine are you gonna get for me?" You
Mhm.
know? And she goes, "Are
Well, I
you
can tell
coming?"
you
I
what
said,
I can tell you what you should serve. It should be foie gras, but then it should
"Oh,
have the imprint of, like on cappuccino, you can have somebody's, like,
oh,
face
initials,
on it,
yeah,
like
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, not initials, the face, like, you can
Oh
have the
yeah."
little or, like, on the cookies, I think she should have foie gras with your face imprinted into the foie gras, so when you serve it and everybody else gets it, they get Jeffrey's face. I might
Yeah, and
actually
that
start
I
a
could literally then just say, "Eat me," I could to somebody,
exactly,
which would be
and
great.
that there we
Actually,
go.
that I gave that idea to M&M, the M&M company. I was talking to their CMO. This is back about 2000, I'm gonna say 6 or 7.
Yeah,
And I was talking to the head of M&M's, M&M, I think it's Mars.
yeah,
And anyway, and so I was talking to the CMO, and we were talking about different things because they called me to say, how can I get out of at the time, how can I get out of NASCAR?
yeah,
Could I just cut off the NASCAR contract? And so CMOs, they call each other to ask for
yeah.
advice on how to do things. And so she called, we talked, and we really hit it off. And I said to her, it'd be really cool is if you could put a face on it. And she goes, I don't know. We'll check on that. And then they started a whole line with that. And then she sent me like a case of big bags of yellow and red because that was the color of Kodak with my
Mhm.
face on them. And I used to hand them out to people all the time.
Oh, I have no
Yeah.
doubt that you did. Well, I need to talk to little Miss Foie Gras. Where is she living? Is she still in France?
Yeah. No, she's in upstate New York. She's right outside of New
So
York City.
she's
But
in the Hudson Valley right
yeah,
now?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god. Okay, so
yeah.
she probably doesn't need to be selling any more foie gras, but do you think she can make an
No, she's still
introduction?
chairman. She's still the chairman emeritus. She
Oh,
still
no.
works with the company. She's very passionate about it.
My god.
Even though these new owners took it over, they're smart. They
Yeah,
have her still involved, right? Because
yeah.
she's still an advocate for the company. She's such an ambassador. You have to have
Will
people.
you make an intro for me so that our
Oh, in a
guests can
heartbeat.
listen to
Yeah,
foie gras?
heartbeat. You drop me an email, and I see that's another hack. See, when
Mhm.
somebody asks me for something, then I always say, drop me the email so that I have an excuse, and then I also don't have to write it down. So that's the other
And
thing.
then my thing with that is that's what I say, and I'm like, "You gotta reach out to me. If you don't reach out to me, because 'cause I'm not writing this down, I'll never remember." And then
Yeah,
the
correct.
thing is so
Yeah,
many people don't, and then you're like, "Okay, you know who's in it."
yeah. It wasn't that important to him, right?
Thank
Exactly.
thank you
Yeah,
very much. And so how
yeah.
long has she been out of the company? How long ago did she sell it?
I think she sold it in 2021 or 2022. So it's
God
about 3 4
bless.
years.
So to get that much money right after COVID, wow.
Yeah, it was
That
pretty good. Or
that
yeah, kind of really in COVID, quite frankly. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I think until up until 2024, I still think we were
Oh,
dealing
I
with,
I agree.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
And we finally started coming out of the fog this last year. I think things are picking up.
Yeah.
I told you when we picked up the phone, we got on the call because we're good friends. You said, "How's it going?" I said, "I'm drinking from a fire hose, and I couldn't be happier."
Yeah,
You
yeah, well,
know?
yeah, like a
Yeah.
pig in slop. I mean, you're happy no I don't think I've ever seen you not happy, by the way, except maybe when you're talking to slow people, you seem to
Yeah, I don't like slow people,
yeah, yeah,
and people who are bigots and
y
stupid people. I don't
yeah,
care for them. But yeah,
okay.
and when I say stupid, I don't mean like
No, I know what you mean.
yeah,
They're not trying to better themselves,
yeah,
they're not trying to
yeah,
get information. No, I
yeah,
totally get it. Okay,
yeah.
so you and I, you introduced me to a concept that you're like, "Oh, everybody knows that." And I'm like, "Okay, I bet a lot of our listeners don't know that." But I want you to talk about this concept because I'm going with you on, and I'm not trying to say it the right way. Like, I don't want your wife to go bananas. So I'm not just going with Jeffrey. But the point is that Jeffrey introduced me to this cruise. And do you want to say the group or?
Yeah, yeah, it's the San Juan Social Club. It's
Okay.
on a Virgin cruise, which is really cool because Virgin's just for adults, right?
Yeah.
And which really makes it kind of nice.
Yeah.
You're not sharing a pool or a hot tub or, a table with,
Right.
crying kids and everything else.
Right.
Not that we don't love those, but there's a
No, I
place
get it.
for,
It's a
yeah.
different
But
story. Yeah.
but the San Juan Social Club is an affiliate group of the C-Suite Network. So we have lots of branches and apples on the tree of these different beautiful communities that are offerings, and they're one of the groups. And that the organizer put together a number of years ago a cruise that's an investor cruise.
Yeah.
And so the first year I think he had 100 people, next year 200 people, now he's got 500 people on this cruise that are coming to see people like yourself, like me, and like others saying, "Hey, look at this. I have this unique opportunity that I think is interesting,
Mhm.
and would you be interested?" And on the cruise are new investors and billionaires, and I mean legitimate
Legit.
billionaires,
Yeah.
legit. I know them. I know
Yeah.
don't know them all,
Right.
but
Of course.
the ones I do know on that ship or on that cruise, yeah, they're total billionaires. And you find projects. Last year, I closed hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I met a partner that Roatan, which you've
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah.
You came by and spent some time with me and the island with your two children, which was a blast.
Yeah.
And and for me that's a $760 million partnership that I've got there. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the Roatan thing because I remember when I met you at the cruise with Jennifer Dawn,
Another
the whole
cruise, yeah,
oh, yeah,
another
another
cruise.
one,
We're just like
another
we're hitting cruises all the time,
we're
you
just
know.
hanging out,
And
the 2 of us.
your significant was with you, and my
Yes,
wife was with me, so we had a
yes.
blast. Yeah,
Well, 100%, and I remember well, anyway, you were just yeah, you crushed it, and, but it was great because y you love all that, and I'm like, "Okay, give me the cliff notes, Jeffrey, I'll see you," and yeah, give me the 5-minute version, I don't have the patience, and then,
yeah,
I get it from you. But, why do you okay, so question, why do you think because I know you go on a bunch of cruises a year for business, why do you
yeah.
think cruises are beneficial for business? Because a lot of people wouldn't think of that.
Well, I think one, everybody's captive. They
Mhm.
can only get off when they port, right?
Right, right.
And if you're like me, I hardly ever get off the boat. One, because everybody leaves, so I got the whole boat to myself. I
Right,
love it.
exactly.
So it's like if they got a Johnny Rockets on the ship, you're the only one in line,
Mhm.
getting a fat burger or whatever it is.
Yep, yep.
And but the other thing is, it's just it's a casual atmosphere. You kind of get to know people a little bit better, and people usually, if they're themed in some way,
Mhm.
they're educational or an opportunistic, like this one happens to
Yeah,
be an
yeah,
investor cruise.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just really cool. And I think it just gives you a chance. You're not the Wi-Fi sucks
yeah.
typically,
That's the
so
best part, I gotta
yeah.
tell you. It
Yeah,
is the
you
best
check
part.
out. You're kind of away from things, and
Yeah.
so you check out. And then usually if the host has done a great job like
Mhm.
Jennifer did,
Yes.
or like Davin does, or
Mhm.
others, you bring together a unique community
Yeah,
where the minds start to meld. And
yeah,
that's a unique thing. Not
yeah.
not everybody. Like with Jennifer, I mean, I wouldn't gonna be best friends with everybody that was on her group,
Well,
but I
no, but
enjoyed everybody. They were
totally.
cordial.
Yeah,
There's a couple that were nuts, but you got to
yeah.
always find them because if you can't find them, it's you.
It's all good.
So
I don't well, yeah, and it's usually me. Now, okay. So about the San Juan social. Okay, so I didn't. So are 500 people going on this one that are?
500 out of 4,500 on the boat. So there'll be some other people on the boat.
Well, yeah, but
But
that's 10%, more than
yeah,
10% are
yeah.
part of. Wow, I did not realize. Okay, obviously I haven't done my homework. That's why
And by the way, of that 10% of the 450,
Mhm.
I've got 70 some people that I've got coming on
Crazy.
the boat, you know?
That's
So it's just,
crazy.
I said, hey, to my friends, you interested? You should come. This is a
Yeah,
unique opportunity. I said, I went there last year thinking I was just going to, I would probably get off halfway and fly home,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
which I thought about, if it's not that good. Because usually when I go on a cruise, I go do my speech
yeah, and
and
you're
the
out.
next port of call, I'm out. Or one time I even had a helicopter pick me up and I was out of there, because they had a heliport. And so
Yeah,
I got out.
thank you
And
next.
yeah, so those are the kind of things from time to time. But yeah, this was just so good. The people were so exciting, and they did some stupid stuff. I call it stupid stuff.
Like what?
They had a Lilo and Stitch pajama party.
Ah,
And
yeah,
and
okay.
so you were supposed to buy the onesie. Well,
Oh,
listen,
hell no.
yeah, it
Hell
ain't
no.
gonna happen. I'm not wearing a little
Hell
onesie
no.
with a tail. And first of all, I had to look up what is Lilo and Stitch.
No. Yeah,
And
no,
my granddaughters told me what it was, but and then this year they're having a toga party.
yeah. Well, that
And
I know you're gonna embrace that because you're gonna
no,
want
I
you're
probably
gonna
won't
show
do
off
that
your
either.
guns. Come
No,
on.
I
Oh,
probably will not. I'll probably just wear some shorts and a polo shirt. That's my idea of a polo.
yeah.
If somebody said you got to get a costume, I said if I do a costume, I better have a king size bed because I'll just take a sheet off of it. That's all.
Okay, I might bring a sheet and I might play a set decorator on you. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll give you
Good.
a crown or something good.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Might
Good
be
luck.
yeah, well, a couple glasses of scotch, guess what? I might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
in luck. Okay.
Couple glasses of scotch, I just won't leave the bar. I'll
No,
just enjoy that all
there you
night.
go.
So
We'll
yeah,
say we'll make it a challenge. Now,
yeah.
of the 500 or so, how many of them do you think are going to be people who are pitching like me versus investors?
So I've got 10 people pitching, but we're doing kind of like a speed date pitching,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
rather than doing 20 minutes, most of the people that are doing, I'm going to say take that 10 away, and
Mhm.
there's maybe 10 or 15 that are pitching. So take our 10 away, there's probably 10 or 15 that are going to pitch. That's it. So
Of the whole ship?
yeah, yeah,
Holy cow. So all those other people are investors?
yeah.
Potential investors?
Oh, yeah, or hanging out and having a good time because they
Yeah.
want to be with the crowd. But I'm going to tell you, yeah, 3/4 are investors. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and then there are events like this all the time. I mean, there's family office events. I mean, it literally is going on every day that there's some kind of pitch fest somewhere. Angel investor events, things like that. There's Dan Bernard and he's a partner of ours with Capital Fit,
Mhm.
and he's in Phoenix, and he does an event about every 2 months. He's got one coming up this month. And then this morning I said, "When's your next one?" He said, "When do you want it?" So I said,
Wow.
"Hey, you could do it June 10th or the 11th.
Yeah.
Actually, the 11th, June 11th, because I already have an event in the Phoenix on the 9th, and the 10th I just booked another speech in Phoenix. So I
Yeah.
said, why don't you do it the night of the 11th, and then I could take the red eye and go to Chicago because I got another event that next morning.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
Nice.
doing things like that all the time.
What's the profile of the person who is pitching? So let's say of the 20 people out of 500 who are going and they're pitching, why are they choosing this cruise?
Well, because it's a target-rich environment.
Mhm.
So you want to look at it like the people there have money.
Mhm.
They like to make money. A lot of them are in Puerto Rico because
Mhm.
they're avoiding taxes.
Mhm.
So they know about SPVs.
Mhm.
They know about different things in order to be able to do it. And and most of them are fairly wealthy. I mean, almost everybody on that cruise has they're at least an accredited investor,
Yeah.
which means they have at least $1 million,
Mhm.
and they're savvy.
Yeah.
So it's they're pretty good. They're deal makers, and I think there's a lot of deal makers in this event. There's always some lucky lose and some
Yeah.
other things that you kind of meet, but by and large, I always say if you can find a group where like I think everything's in thirds. A third get it, are right in it. They're doing it all the time. A third, might, and a third never will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can get 2/3 of the people there that that are in that level, yeah. But even the people that are pitching, right? They're most of them are savvy. You're savvy, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're pitching. I'm
Yeah.
pitching. I got 2 deals I'm pitching.
What are you pitching?
I'm going to give everybody a new piece of software that we've just brought on called C-Suite Coaching, which
Yeah.
is an AI software which gives everybody the inner edge, to be able to manage, either coach yourself,
Yeah.
coach your team, coach your board, or you're actually a coach,
Yeah.
yourself, and you're doing
Mhm.
coaching. So this is a real high level platform that's just, it's amazing. And everybody that we've done it with on the betas and so forth have just been blown away by it. And these are real savvy coaches and thought leaders. So that's one. So I'm giving that. But then I'm gonna pitch Roatan, but Roatan I'm pitching only for the fractional ownership. So I've got a fund. I've got one of four funds that we've started around this. So it's my first phase. I'm
Mhm.
raising 25 million to purchase property in Roatan, and then we rent it out, retreat houses
Yeah.
and opportunities. And it's just amazing, the opportunities, and we're already seeing the deal flow that's through there,
Yeah.
which is amazing. So I'm going to raise 25 million. So you can put in 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, a million,
Yeah.
and you get a fractional ownership of a shares by, at
Yeah.
25,000 a share.
Yeah.
You get fractional ownership, and then we buy these properties in bulk, and then
Yeah.
we manage them and rent them out. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So pretty unique. And then the next one that I'm doing is C-Suite Media. I'm going to raise $2 million on a 20 million valuation, and which I think is an unbelievable deal,
I
because
agree.
I think the company is worth a lot more than that.
As soon as you said 20, I'm like, why? But that must be
Yeah,
like pricing your real estate low so that you get multiple offers. But okay.
but I want to hurry up and get the 2 million, because I've got to do some expansion, because we're growing at 6x,
Yeah.
and I know there's a window for us to do something really big. And
Yeah.
so I need, 1.1 for some tech and distribution, and the rest I'm going to put towards marketing, and we're going to move it, and then I'll start raising real money into this year.
Okay, so
So,
walk us. I don't want to take too much of your time, but this is super
yeah.
valuable because you have an innate ability to break things down into, I think, explain them very, very easily and break them down into bullet points. So if somebody's listening to this who's like, wow, maybe I would want to raise some money, but like, how does that look? So when you say you're raising 2 million with a $20 million value, like, how did you
Yep.
come up with the 20 million? Because that's one of the hardest things is to come up with the value of a company.
You should be able to look at some similar companies and say, what are they doing? And what are, they're out raising money, they're doing this, or what are the multiples? So like, at one time, you had a podcast, if you had $1 million in revenue, it was worth $100 million.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
was 100x. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
that's nuts, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not going to be sustainable now, right?
Right. Right. Right.
But you also have to put it at a level, at least for a smaller amount that you want to raise, so that you're not diluting yourself, at a small enough so people understand and they get a huge uplift if they put the money in now. And
Right.
that's what I'm doing. So if you come in and you're taking 10% of the company, that's
Mhm.
all I'm willing to give up,
Mhm.
10%. And then that company then immediately goes from 20 to 50 or 100 million right after that. I close that round.
Mhm.
You've just 5x your money.
Yeah.
And I believe we can do that, So, or it's at least significantly increase it, certainly double it, 20 can go to 40. I
Yeah.
think it's going to go closer to 70 the second I
Yeah.
close that round.
I think so too.
So, and because we got 100 million downloads, we've got 700 and some shows that are going to go to 2,000 shows by the end of this year. I've got 150,000 shows in my pipeline right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
150,000. If
Insane.
I can't sell 2,000 shows at
Yeah.
at 2,500 a piece,
So you've got revenue though already for C-suite. So let's say that
yeah,
you did.
totally.
Okay, so let's say you didn't have revenue and you're like, okay, I want
Yep.
to raise this amount, but I don't have the revenue yet. What would somebody do?
Well, you take a flashlight and right out of your rear end and you
Yeah.
make a guess. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But you got to defend it. But it has to be grounded, because people who are investors, like especially VCs, they're smart.
Yeah.
They didn't get the way to get a lot of money is to be really smart
Yeah.
usually, or just really lucky. But
Yeah.
that doesn't usually work. It's really about people who are really smart. They know it. They're in this business, so they know.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing you have to be able to do is you've got to be able to come up with a list of people who
Mhm.
will want to invest in you. First, it
Mhm.
should be your friends and family. You
Mhm.
got to get them involved. You got to put a list. I always put that list of 100, and I usually, by the time I get to, number 48, I've already raised the money.
Yeah.
And so it's important for you to have that list. And, like, I'm working with a company, and I said, to the founder of this company, where's your list? Well, I really don't know people. Well, then, this isn't going to work,
Yeah.
because, they're going to look at you and say, what did you do? How did you
Yeah.
raise it? What are you
Yeah.
giving up?
Right.
You
Right.
can't just take the money.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that the other thing is to really get into some of the platforms and start looking at, this is my industry. Who else invests in this industry?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other players that are out there investing in competitors
Yeah.
or pseudo competitors of mine?
Mm-hmm.
And did those work out or not work out? And then you can start to get a feel for what your company's worth, and then who else to go to. And I mean, right now I can show you on a sheet of paper a
Yeah.
list of all the ones that I'm going after right now. And I'm just, this is, as I run into them on LinkedIn or whatever, I just write them down, and that's what I do,
And
you know?
you have a great habit. I'm glad you brought up LinkedIn. You talked about something, and I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something like you sell quote for like an hour a day, and that's like
Yeah.
inspecting stuff. Am I correct? Is it an hour a day or an hour and a half?
Just spend some time on LinkedIn. I mean, I spent some time yesterday going through my LinkedIn, and I've got like, 30,000, 35,000 connections there.
Mm-hmm.
And then followers on top of that. But
Yeah.
I can only allow 35 that I'm first connected to.
Yeah.
And what I do is, I've got my show. So I went and said, my show's in New York. Well, geez, why aren't I going through my New York contacts? Who do I know
Mm-hmm.
that would also be great on the show?
Mm.
And so, so that's how I found this, the CEO of Revlon. She used to be the CMO of
Mhm.
IBM. Now she's the CEO of Revlon. I can just go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And yesterday I made a list of like 200 and some people.
That you're going to reach out to for this $2 million
Yeah.
for C-suite.
No, these were just the ones just to be on my show. That was just to be on the show. Yeah. For the C-suite stuff, I pretty much know who I'm going to. So yeah, or for the C-suite media.
Yeah.
I'll give everybody that's, one got a podcast on it an opportunity if they want to invest in it. That's one, because,
Absolutely.
why not rate, you get the opportunity for it.
Totally.
But then, because you're helping me put it in. So
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing.
So kind of last question, I think. What do you look for in employees, or what do you look for? Because you have an amazing team, and I'm going to give a shout out to Trisha Ben, who I totally,
Yeah.
as you know, have a girl crush on and can't wait to see on the cruise. What do you think makes a great, like, quote, partner, whether it's not necessarily like business partner formally, but like a vendor, an employee?
Yep.
What do you think
Yep.
that looks like?
Well, smart, they grasp it fairly quick. Hard work ethic, right? That's another piece, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people, if we're in the office and someone says it's cold, I say, hey, work harder, you'll
Yeah,
warm up.
exactly.
But that's my attitude. My attitude is like, let's go. This is,
Yeah.
I go to bed at night hoping I'll hurry up and sleep so I can get back to work the
Yeah.
next morning.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for that. And then I also looking for people who are really humble.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing beneath you to do. Because if you're going to see me cleaning tables. You're going to see me you're going to walk me into a room that I'm about to speak in, and I'm
Yeah.
going to reorganize it,
Yeah.
right? Where it's whatever we got to do to make it work. And if I got to wait tables, I'll wait tables. If it doesn't make a difference. There's nothing that's beneath me that I can't do to make it the best experience. So I'm looking for those kinds of people.
Yeah.
It's like, we had a vendor the other day that did some work for us on an event, and they reserved black cars for us in the morning. And I'm going, whoa, what are you doing? How much did this
I was
cost?
gonna say, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I can take a Waymo, man, for
Right.
$10,
Right.
right?
Right.
But we thought you would want this. I said, well, I
But
might
you didn't
want it.
ask. Yeah. And you didn't
but
ask either.
yeah, yeah. And I'm going like, and how much other stuff is marked up, and what's that? So now I got to go look at that,
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I expect, like, let's do it this way, and I'm not that I'm cheap, but I have been known to put everybody on a Bolt bus and go from New York to Boston rather than fly everybody.
Well, I
'Cause
think they say, you decide what you spend money on, and then I heard
Yeah.
some quote, you decide what you spend money on, and then you ruthlessly cut everything else. Like you know what I mean? Like you have your other stuff that you're just like, hey, that doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to spend.
Yeah, I
money
mean,
on
if you're gonna fly from New York to Boston, it's gonna take you as long to take the bus is just as long as to fly by the time you got to go through,
Yeah.
unless you're flying private.
Yeah.
But even then, it's gonna still take an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And even though it's a 15-20 minute flight, but none, or you can take the Bolt bus for $15,
Yeah.
and it's the same 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm one of those kind of people. I'll just take the Bolt bus. I'll just go down to Canal Street, get on it. 3 hours later, I'm there, and by the way, I always buy the seat next to me so nobody could sit next to me.
Well, you're a big
And
boy.
then
Mhm.
and I work.
Yeah,
And
of
as
course.
long as it's got Wi-Fi and a bathroom, I'm good.
Yeah, thank you.
You know?
Next. Okay, well,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Hayzlett, you can find him. You can find him on the Bolt bus. Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I'm worried I won't get you back. So I will see you in a few weeks on our cruise. How do you want people to find you? And what if they want to join the cruise? Like, what's
The cruise is full. Can't even buy your way on. You might, if someone cancels one, we might be able to get you on, but it's full, and that's been that way for about a month now. So it's which is just great. And here you are. We're 30 days out from the cruise right
yeah,
now, or no, we're
or
we're
less?
pretty close to it.
We're
Yeah, less
less.
now.
It's
Yeah, we're 3 weeks
21st or
away.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
3 weeks away. I'm excited. I got to go get some of my Ethos Sun. That's a board I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic free, reef safe sunscreen. I got to get some of that stuff, and I got to pack my bag because I'm leaving this week and I won't be back. So I have to have a bag. I have to take a bag with me for 2 weeks.
Poor baby. I'll bring your
Yeah.
toga. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll bring your toga and your crown, Jeffrey. All right. So how do
Yeah,
people find
but
you? LinkedIn?
just reach out on social media. Just direct mail me or whatever, or direct message me, and there I'm in LinkedIn. You can reach me through LinkedIn. I can't link into you because I got too many, but you can get a message to me, and I'll get back to you or call you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Call me. Why not? I'll just say, listen, I'll stitch the number into your toga. Okay, Jeffrey. Well,
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for all of your time. This has been amazing. Find him on the Bolt bus. I'm Marley Majcher from Every Day's a Train Wreck. If you haven't already, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, but most importantly, forward this episode to a friend who is looking to raise money in business, wants a motivational hack, or just wants a good time listening to how the big guy goes on Bolt. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. And Jeffrey, thanks again.
Thank you.